The other thing that, and thank you for that, I'd like to hear, if you could, share a little bit about future vision. I can see a world where mind is the medicine. I can see a world where, sickness is a joint venture and a collaboration of healing versus, using poisons and pills. And I can see not a world government, but certainly a world family that's out there, and that war is a thing of the past. And I'd like just to hear a little bit about Abraham's visioning. Could you vision for us?
Well, we can tell you some of all of those things too, because we can see clearly into your vortex and into your collective vortex. In other words, we know clearly what you have created. But the reason that we hesitate to jump too hard into that is because sometimes people use that future promise as a condition to line themselves up now. And then that condition of that future promise gives you a distorted understanding of what your real work is. And so we've been talking a lot about never mind how you got here, because you're here. So just revel in the fact that you're here. And never mind where it's going, because it's going. And it will light up for you along the way. And you just don't need to know everything that's going to unfold for right now to be really good. You see?
So I guess more defined to that is war part of
peace?
But is it part of form? Is it part of the contrast that we're here for? Is, 100 years from now, a whale's going to be...
What it is, it's an exaggerated wobble. In other words, it's a wobble that's gone not tended to. It's the inevitable byproduct of split energy that hasn't been considered, because instead of getting to the heart, instead of acknowledging the love that you want to feel for people, instead most of the world is out there talking about the conditions that they need to live differently in order for you to easily love them. In other words, we've had that conversation several times here today. But everyone doesn't have to figure this out in order for you to live the peaceful, joyful life experience that you want to live.
I've kind of even given up the idea of figuring it out. It's like I'm trying, I think, the older I get.
You know why? Because figuring it out leads to the next phase is you all have to listen to us and, even more ridiculous, agree with us. And then we have to find some way of enforcing the decisions that we've made in order to create this conditional environment in which we can be happy. And the reason that you can't figure it out is because it's backwards of the way the whole thing is set up. That's not what the trajectory is. The trajectory is diversity. The trajectory is difference. The trajectory is variety. The trajectory is a buffet. The trajectory is an environment that induces within you, that creates within you a new desire that has not been before. And so some of these things that you're talking about, you've been talking about for a long time. Your historical books go back a very long way, and you're not sorting it out because it is unsortable, outable in that way. You can't get there from there, you see. The way you get, and where is it that you're trying to get? To alignment, to personal alignment.
Inside.
And so if you can accept that your personal alignment is not contingent upon anyone else figuring anything out, and you are dealing with your personal alignment, then one by one, more and more of you return to who you really are. And then you begin to live as you have intended. You know what's really exciting? These words, we are so eager to express to you in a way that you will hear them, and in an atmosphere in which you can hear them, and that's here, and that's now. Everything that has been before has been leading to this moment in time when more of you are in the state of allowing and then moving forth. In other words, this is what you have all been waiting for. You've been waiting for your aligned awareness of this time-space reality. So everything that you've lived before, through all the wars and all the injustices and all of the things that you wish were not part of your history, every bit of that is what has perched you on this place of realization. So not only is your planet not on its way out, this is the beginning of everything that you have intended it to be. In other words, you all have been reveling in the idea. You knew that this moment in time would come. You knew that a tipping point would come when more of you would understand who you really are and why you are really here. A time when you would understand that no one else needs to stop doing something that they're doing in order for you to be joyful. That your joy is not dependent upon the change in behavior of anyone else. In other words, we really want to say it in enough different ways that you can really feel the full impact of what we're saying to you. This is your moment. This is what not only you came for, but what all humanity has been posed for, you see. This is what it's all about. To be in this time-space reality and feeling your own invincibility, your own potential, your own right place, right time, your own, this is the reason that I'm alive, your own, I'm loving this furthest, most expanded part of my beingness. And so, I want to say it in another way. Yes, there's been constant evolution, and yes, it will always be so, but it's bigger and more important right here, right now, because so many of you are now, for the first time, intending to be deliberate creators. And that's what makes the difference. You can't get it wrong. Life is going to cause you to launch rockets. That's always been that way, and it always will be that way. And the rockets of desire have always been received by Source, have always been considered, have always been tended to. The vibrational reality has always been there. And to some degree, it has been allowed by a certain percentage of the population. But never before have there been so many deliberate creators, not creating by default, not accidentally stumbling into things, managing your own vibrational frequency, because you finally put together the relationship between you and who you really are through the emotional content of your emotional guidance system. These are revolutionary times. This is the beginning of what you are all about. It's like you've lived thousands of lifetimes all in readiness for this, you see. That's why it feels so important to you. That's why it feels so big to you. That's why it feels like so much love to you. And that's why you can't tolerate it when you find some nitpicking little thing that doesn't mean diddly squat, and you make some big hairy deal out of it, and you prevent yourself from, in this moment, being part of all of this trajectory that you knew would be your life experience, you see.
We kind of go through our day thinking only blessings and honor the process, and it's already done. And that's kind of everything else is by the wayside. So.
We like that. It's already done, and isn't it going to be fun when I realize it in its full manifested form? In other words, realization, 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 realization. That's the name of this game. You want to pitch yourself in that vibration so that you can realize the perfection of it. Do you understand how many moving parts there are to make this moment in time the delicious moment in time of perfection that it is? And when you are vibrationally tuned to it so that you are realizing the pieces of it, then your artists capture some of it, and photographers capture some of it, and musicians make beautiful music, and chefs make wonderful food, and there are all kinds of wonderful things that are happening. But the tapestry of this life experience that is available to you to be realized by you, we're not talking about the world changing, we're talking about you being able to receive the world that is, you see. That's why we call this the art of allowing. The art of allowing all that you have all created through all that you've ever lived. Now, here and now, you see. So often, you come to these gatherings and you think that what we're talking about is creation of what's coming. We're talking about the vortex that's already been created in your realization of it now. Turning those thoughts to things. Turning the thoughts that you thought lifetimes ago to things now in this experience. Turning the thoughts you had about the love of all humanity to things in this physical time-space reality, turning to an illness that you've acknowledged into wellness that you've thought about for eons, for centuries, for lifetimes, for millenniums. In other words, all of that here and now, all that trajectory right here, ready for you to pluck the fruit from it. And all you got to do is decide and really mean and practice till you're good at it, being happy.
Thank you.
Yeah. And each one of you, we love so much what our friend said before, that he's been paying attention, but now suddenly he's realizing the things that he'd been hearing before, now they're meaningful to him in a whole new way. That's what realization is. Realization. You allowing, the interpretation through your mental process of the thoughts that Source is thinking. Imagine. Source, who's been in on this for a very long time. Can you feel the satisfaction factor in that? That's available to you? That Source will generate such satisfaction that if you're in the right frequency, you will translate it through your solar plexus? That's a love that is undeniable. That's a love that you were born to live. That's what you signed on for in this life experience. You said, I want to be in on that. Yeah.
I visit hospice and I visit the hospitals. And when I go there, I don't pray for them. I don't pray for anything. I just, my goal is when I get there, I don't really care what their illness is either. It's just, I want to, my contention, my belief is that they're there for my healing. And my purpose there is to feel joy while I'm there, and that's the highest thing that I can do. Is that a correct understanding?
It is.
To be at peace?
It is.
And that's the end of it. I try not to even use words, and I'll have them talk about their best experiences, and then I'll talk about mine. And that's the process. Is there something that I can do more?
Revel in your knowledge about what non-physical is about. Express your understanding that we are all eternal beings. Feel eagerness for the adventure that they are embarking upon. Practice it before you get there so that there's no question from them that you really mean what you're saying. And then just sit with that grin on your face in anticipation of the adventure that they are upon.
Good. And I've got a lot of stories from the other side. So it's and sometimes we even try to make connections right there on the spot.
Good. Really good. Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.